everyone, how's it going? My name is Jay and welcome to the channel and welcome back to Prehistoric Kingdom's Alpha. In today's video we are going to be introducing one of the smaller dinosaurs in park, and in fact the smallest one available to us at the moment, and that is the Microraptor. The Microraptors are probably my favorite animals in this current alpha build. They are quite incredible, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to be building a bit of a walkthrough aviary for them. And as we go, of course, we'll talk a little bit more about the species and kind of this whole small exhibit kind of mechanism they have in the game, and just about what it could mean for the future and what other species we could see as well. So do stick around for that. If you do like today's video, of course, please do leave a like. And of course, if you want to let me know what you think of today's habitat or you want to request any further ones, leave a comment down below as well. I'm more than happy to hear your thoughts on anything we discuss in the video, or just, requests and suggestions. With that out of the way, let's get started on talking about what we're doing on screen. So as you can see, we've just kind of roughly outlined the area we're going to be working with. I plopped down a bunch of these little Microraptor aviary type habitats. And with this system in Prehistoric Kingdom, you get these modular aviaries, and you can either use them as is, or you can switch them to the null variant, where it removes the mesh fencing around the outside of it and allows you to essentially do whatever you want with it. And I thought, let's just make a really big aviary style habitat for these guys, and we can have loads of little Microraptor habitats, and then have it kind of feel like you're in this area with lots of these guys. I imagine if this was a real aviary, you would have other creatures that were suited to the area. So like in real life, if you go to an aviary in a zoo, it's never just one species of bird, you have loads of different ones. So I would imagine that would be the same here. You'd probably have other small flying animals, like maybe other small kind of more avian dinosaurs. When I say that, I don't mean necessarily avian dinosaurs in birds. I mean like dinosaurs on the way to becoming birds, basically. Things like, there's Microraptor, there's Sinosauropteryx, other animals like that, basically, all kind of along those lines. Microraptor in general is one of the more interesting, kind of closer to bird dinosaurs there are. Of course, it's really unique. It's got 4 wings, 2 on its hind legs, and 2 on its forelimbs. This is not necessarily unique to this species, but it is very unique in the animal kingdom as a whole. The whole 4-winged nature of this animal is quite interesting to see. It was quite prominently featured in the show Prehistoric Park, if you ever watched that. It's a great documentary series headlined by Nigel Marvin, who's also involved in Prehistoric Kingdom because he's narrated the trailer, and I believe the developers want to include him down the road in the game itself as well, probably for more voice acting, so I'm very excited for that. But yeah, Microraptor was in that show and it was super adorable, although now we know that it wouldn't have been that color. It was like a creamy brown and white color in the show. But in real life, what we know is this is one of the few instances where we actually can determine the color of the organism through the fossil record, which is really cool. It's not very common we can do that. And how we did that, well, I say we, I mean the paleontologists and researchers that were doing all this, is they found fossilized melanosomes. Melanosomes are essentially these little structures that are pigmented, so little pigment cells essentially. And they contain melanin, I believe. And they can essentially determine how dark or how light the animal is via looking at this. And what they found is that Microraptor would have been really dark, almost black all over, but then with an iridescence to it. So imagine birds like certain crows, how if you look at them in the light, they've got like an iridescence to them, or like starlings, where they've got like bits of like, when they shine in the light, you see greens and purples and these vivid hues, but then otherwise they would look quite dark if they're not in the light. So that's kind of what people think Microraptor would have looked like in real life, thanks to these melanosomes kind of telling us all these details, which is a really cool thing. That there's still this idea that in a lot of I'd say in the public perception that we don't really know what dinosaurs look like, or what color they were, what their behaviors were. But genuinely, if you look at the research and stuff, there is so much we can tell from the fossil record. And of course there's a lot we can't, but it's, I think, kind of a shame that people think we know less than we actually do. There's so much information out there about how incredible these animals were in life, and it's really cool to be able to share that. Like the fact that we know what color some of these were, we know so much about behaviors, really fascinating stuff. But yeah, Microraptor is also one of the more abundant fossils found in its fossil range. So they found from China, and they were from Cretaceous China. And one interesting thing is that some of the best fossils in the world come out of this region of the world, because I think they're mostly all preserved in like volcanic ash. So it's like they're all preserved extremely well, and you get so many feathered animals, feathered dinosaurs being found here, and they've got their feathers really well preserved essentially. And in this region, I believe they also found loads of other feathered dinosaurs, if I'm not mistaken, just other really interesting species. If I'm not mistaken, Sinornithosaurus was also found here. Not 100% sure. But yeah, there was just a lot of really interesting species in the area as well. I believe even like things like a couple Oviraptor species. I cannot remember, so don't take my word on that. But yeah, very, very interesting animal, and definitely such a cool addition to the game, especially via the Aviary system. I know in the early access version, we are getting another small exhibit animal like the Microraptor, and I don't know what it's going to be. It's quite an interesting thought that it could really be anything, because Prehistoric Kingdom isn't, of course, limited to dinosaurs. It could be a small mammal, it could be a small mammal-like reptile, something from the Permian perhaps, though they don't really go before the Mesozoic very often, so I wouldn't necessarily count on that, but it really could be anything. I'm excited to see what they might implement. On screen you will have seen me do a lot of work which I completely forgot to talk about, but essentially what we're doing is just building an aviary style habitat, just using all these pieces. The chain link pieces work so well because you can scale them dynamically, using all these metal rods to kind of create like an abstract shape. Kind of messy as usual. Again, Prehistoric Kingdom, I feel like I'm not necessarily very refined with the building, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think it's still very fun to kind of have that kind of rough and tumble look to everything, and I'm pretty pleased with how it looks overall. There's no signage or anything yet. I might do that off screen. But again, I think this whole alpha series that we're doing on the channel is really a lot of me kind of getting to grips with the game, learning how the mechanics work, so that when we do have the more polished version of the game, the beta or even early access, and further down the line, we are going to be able to kind of dive in with more of a knowledge of what it's going to be like. I'll have known what the mechanics are like, how to build stuff, so there will be less of a learning curve as we go along. It'll be a lot more gradual, and we can kind of see how the game develops in that way, and I'm quite excited for that. It does make me quite excited to know that as great as it is now, this is just the beginning of what Prehistoric Kingdom is going to be. Of course, we've got, the beta will be out in the next couple of months, I think. I'm not sure, probably a bit more than that, actually. And then early access will be out later in quarter 3 of 2021, if I'm not mistaken. And that's when, if you haven't bought the game already, you'll have access to the game down the line as well. And it's just going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be really cool to watch this game and follow it along in its growth, and there's going to be so much more cool stuff. Like, I'm just looking forward to all the really cool animals we're going to see. One thing I'm very excited for that we don't have access to right now in the alpha is the introduction of the mammals and the more Pleistocene type animals. So like, the woolly rhinoceros, the Smilodon, the mammoths. That's going to be really cool. Just all those animals that are going to be really interesting to work with, especially alongside the bigger dinosaurs. Because of course now we have the T-Rex, but we've got a lot of really cool dinosaurs to look forward to in early access, and the one I'm most excited for is probably the Dinochirus. It's one of the weirdest dinosaurs there is, and I am so looking forward to having that in the park. Anyways, we're coming up to the end of the episode now. It's a really short one. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. It was a relatively quick one. Again, quite rough and tumble, but I hope it's still fun to watch nonetheless. And I had fun, watching my Microraptor fly around and stuff. You'll be able to see that in the cinematics. And people can walk through the habitat and enjoy this as well, so it's all good. Anyways, if you liked the video, do leave a like down below. Leave a comment. Let me know what you thought of today's episode. Let me know if you want to see... just let me know what you want to see next, basically. Do subscribe for more Prehistoric Kingdom content. That's every Monday at 5 PM UK time. Planet Zoo content every Wednesday at 5 PM UK time. And Jurassic World Evolution every Friday at 5 PM UK time. That is a mouthful. But yeah, here's the cinematics. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye!